You ever get that feeling when you have those films that just slap you right in the face? Yeah, that's pretty much what these 30 films did for me. But anyways, hello everyone, it's me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video. And now, I know I just got done doing, a little bit ago, or a couple days ago actually, the top 30 best list of 2018. Now we're getting on to the films that were the top 30 worst of 2018. These films were just, and I mean, there weren't. I didn't really see too many bad movies because like there are 30, but there were not enough for the there was any dishonorable mentions. So there are no dishonorable mentions for this list because I didn't really see a lot of the other bad movies like Sherlock Gnomes or Father of the Year with David Spade and which was made for Netflix. Like I didn't see any of those, so if I would have seen them, they probably would have gotten on dishonorable mentions. But because I didn't, there are no dishonorable mentions. So might as well get into the top 30 worst movies of 2018. These were films that I just hated or just didn't care for. And if you like any of these films, more power to you. These weren't for me. So let's get this list over and done with, because the best list was a lot of fun to do, because I had a lot of fun. This one, though, it'll be fun ranting on these, but the less I talk about these movies, the better. But number 30 is Gotti. I know this was a film that was had a lot of production problems, a lot of development problems. I remember at one point it was going to be Barry Levinson directing it and Al Pacino attached to the project. But then, like, it was in such a development, just had a lot of development problems, and then all of a sudden they got John Travolta as Gotti. I mean, not to say John Travolta did a bad job acting, because I like John Travolta, but it was just a film that just didn't click, and you can definitely tell that this film had a lot of production problems just because of the way it was finished. I much would have preferred to see it with Barry Levinson directing it with Al Pacino. I think that would have been more interesting. But that's number 30, Gotti. Number 29, The Spy Who Dumped Me. This is a film where Kate McKinnon once again annoys me. She annoyed me in Ghostbusters. She annoyed me in Rough Night, and now she annoyed me in this film. 3 strikes, you're out. Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis. I mean, The Spy Who Dumped Me. It's just one of those dumb comedies I just don't care for. Was not a fan of it. Number 28, The Cloverfield Paradox. Such a big step down from 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I really did enjoy from 2016. But this one, very clunky plot. It's really a film that doesn't really do anything with the Cloverfield franchise. It's not really creative. So there's no difference to this. 10 Cloverfield Lane was different than, the first Cloverfield, but had more creativity, and I like Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I like John Goodman in the movie. I mean, not to say this cast was really good too. It had a really great ensemble cast, but it was just a film where it didn't do anything with the franchise, and it just kind of bogged down. It was just a big step down from 10 Cloverfield Lane. Number 27 is Robin Hood, with the one with Jamie Foxx. Do I need to say more? I mean, like, how many more Robin Hood movies do we need? I just don't understand it, and this is a clear example of a Robin Hood film that was not needed, and the Rotten Tomatoes score definitely tells you that for sure. Number 26, The Possession of Hannah Grace. One of the it reminded me way too much of the Autopsy of Jane Doe with Amelia Hirsch and things like that. I thought that was a far better film. It's just whenever I thought of The Possession of Hannah Grace, I kept thinking of the Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I think was a better movie. That's all I was thinking of when I saw The Possession of Hannah Grace. Number 25 is Terminal. No, not The Terminal with Tom Hanks. This is just called Terminal. This is the one with Margot Robbie, Simon Pegg, Mike Myers. it was just a film that was just really forgettable. I mean, other than Margot Robbie, she was easily the best part of the movie. I mean, Simon Pegg had nothing to do. Neither did Mike Myers. Very messy plot, very clunky plot. A really confusing storyline. It just had all these twists and turns where it was very confusing. And overall, I mean, Terminal just had nothing to it. It was just a kind of a there movie. Number 24 is Mile 22 with Mark Wahlberg. You know, I remember seeing this film, and I've completely forgot about this film. I mean, it went one ear and out the other. That's how forgettable this movie was for me. Number 23, Acts of Violence with Bruce Willis. Once again, I mean, before I saw Death Wish, I mean, like, this is why I was worried about when Bruce Willis got the role for Death Wish. I mean, when you see films like this, where is just sleepwalking, and, you know, it was the film I just did not care for. I mean, Bruce Willis is just phoning it in. I mean, you know, people can say that about Death Wish, but I think he had more to his character in Death Wish than in this movie. So I was really, I mean, and I much prefer the new Death Wish over this, without a doubt. I think Bruce Willis did a really good job in the new Death Wish. But this one, not really. And that's why I was kind of worried when he got the role of Death Wish, but I was proven wrong. I really liked the new Death Wish with Bruce Willis. I thought he was good in here, but this one, he was not. Number 22, Den of Thieves with Gerard Butler. To me, this is a lame version of Heat. That's really what it is. I mean, it's a more boring version of Heat. Because, you know, Heat's a very long movie too, but Heat is one of those films where you're engaged in the plot. It's a really great, interesting story. It has a really great cast with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer. So many people in that film. It's crazy. Michael Mann's direction. Heat is a really engaging film, and it doesn't feel long. It's a long movie, but it doesn't feel long because you're engaged in the story. This one, though, you're not really engaged in the movie. It's a boring version of Heat. That's really all it is. It's like the same kind of plot. That's all it is. Number 21, Skyscraper with The Rock. Basically a crappy version of Die Hard, but PG-13. If you want to see a PG-13 version of Die Hard, go watch Live Free or Die Hard. And then, you know, The Rock's like 3 movies a year. You know, this is one of the films I just did not care for The Rock in. It was just a crappy version of Die Hard. That's really all it was. Number 20, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. It's really one of those films where you can definitely tell like there wasn't too much to the sequel. It was just kind of like a sequel that was just made because of the first film was so successful. And, you know, I don't really remember much about this film, to be honest. I just remember it being very forgettable, in my opinion. I know a lot of other critics felt the same way. I know some other people in here felt the same way about it, too. Number 19, Pacific Rim Uprising. This was a Pacific Rim film that I thought had nothing to it. I like John Boyega, but not in this film. I mean, I really like the first Pacific Rim because I like Guillermo del Toro's direction. Here, there wasn't really much to anything in this one. Like I said before, I'm not really going into a whole lot of details about these films because these were like some of the most forgettable movies this year. I just don't remember much about these. Number 18, A Wrinkle in Time. This was a film that could have been good, but I thought the execution was pretty lame. It's got beautiful visuals, I'll give it that. It's a very stunningly beautiful movie to look at, but it was just one of those films where it just didn't click right. You know, it wasn't particularly like a bad movie. I mean, it wasn't like, it was, you know, beautifully directed and, you know, and things like that, but it was just one of those films where I think it could have been a whole lot better. So there is some potential in this film. It wasn't just kind of like a throwaway movie. I could see there was some potential in the film, but it was just one of those films where it just didn't click and it just didn't turn out right. Number 17, Night School with Kevin Hart. Need I say more? Number 16 is Nobody's Fool. I'm trying to remember who the actress's name is. She was the one, I think she was in one of the girls in Girls Trip from last year. She was hilarious in Girls Trip. Here, she kind of took that character to like the 10th power and became very obnoxious and very annoying. 15, Red Sparrow with Jennifer Lawrence. Just more like a slow burn, just a really boring movie. Very slow, very, very slow film. It's just more of a slower version of Atomic Blonde. That's all it really was. It was just a very slow movie. 14, Overboard. Why was this film even remade in the first place? I don't understand why, because I love the original Overboard with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. I like Anna Faris in the Scary Movie films, but here, I mean, this is just a pointless remake that no one asked for. 13, Life at the Party with Melissa McCarthy. You know, Melissa McCarthy, this is just one of those things where Melissa McCarthy's always a hit and miss actress. You know, really enjoyed her. Like, one year I really enjoyed her in Bridesmaids. Then, like, you know, I didn't care for Identity Thief. Then I really enjoyed, you know, I like St. Vincent. Really enjoyed Spy, but I did not like Tammy. I didn't like the new Ghostbusters. But I really liked her this year in Can You Ever Forgive Me? I thought that was a really good dramatic performance. But this one, trying to be PG-13, and you can tell Melissa McCarthy is kind of more to more R-rated material. I think Melissa McCarthy should stay away from PG-13 and kind of just stick to more R-rated comedy stuff. At least in my opinion. Number 12, Winchester. Probably one of the worst horror films I saw this year. But there are much worse horror films this year than Winchester. But it's up there. Number 11, I'll say for one more, and then I'll get to the top 10 in the final part. Number 11, Show Dogs. The title says itself, Show Dogs. It's a film about talking dogs. I think even freaking Ludacris, the rapper, is one of the voices of the dogs. Oh my... I'm going to stop right here so I can calm down a little bit because I'm getting a little... these movies. I'm going to stop right here and I'll see you guys in part 2, which will be the final part.